Welcome to Kirkcaldy Reminiscing Group. We're here today to have a chat about primary school days, our memories. But I'll get people to introduce themselves first.
Susan here.
Douglas.
Pat.
Archie.
Blair.
Karen.
And Linda, unfortunately, can't be with us today. She's got an appointment at the hospital, which seems to be one of the things that we'll have to face about this stage in our life. But I must remember that Karen is a lot younger, and as is Archie, a wee bit younger.
Oh, not you as well.
Huge bit.
No, these two always get that.
Anyway, yes, primary school. Who's got something to kick us off?
I spoke to Karen about my first memories of primary school was the wee school break days at the air raid shelter.
Yes.
Oh wow.
In the playground. And next to the sort of dull weather shed you had the air raid shelter. And then when you went up to the big school as they called it,
Yeah.
the row on the
There were
grass.
6 of them.
Yeah. All the air raid shelters for the kids.
Right.
Are they still there, Archie?
No, they dug them up a few years ago and they've levelled it and put grass and
So that was the wee school that you
both the
call it?
schools. Yeah.
Both schools.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the wee school isn't there now, right?
No, that's not
Is
there
it?
at all. No, it's houses in there. The
And where was that?
Schoolbrae.
School
Behind the man in the rock pub.
Right.
Behind
Just
the
up
window.
the steep brae that runs up the side.
That was
aye.
Schoolbrae.
Ah.
And opposite the school, if anybody was, would you say, a pest like me when they were young, you climbed the wall and there was all the air raid shelters for Michael's factory as well, all in the
Right.
same area.
Right.
Mm. What did they do in Miko's factory?
Made carpets.
Oh,
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Carpet.
I worked there for 5 years.
Right.
It was always beyond me why anyone would want to bomb desert.
That's just what I was going to say, Douglas. They must have been quite worried that they were going to get bombed and die.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe because it had a wee port.
Well,
Aye.
it did. Mhm.
I didn't think much about this for a lot of reasons, but this morning I just thought, what can I possibly say about primary school? And as I started to think a wee bit more deeply, and I just wrote some bullet points, and maybe these will stimulate thoughts in others, but if I can just go through them. Primary school is primarily thought of as a place where you went for learning and for to be taught. But it was more than that. It's a sublime influencer in shaping one's life. It's the first shaping of the person through social interaction.
Yeah.
Because before going to primary school, you were in your family and with immediate friends, neighbours, and that was it. It also introduced you to the concept of boys and girls, brought together, not forcefully, but in an obligatory way.
Yeah.
So that was an opening of the eyes in that sense. It was as if it gave you command and control knowledge outside of your parents. You had to obey things from the teacher and from the janitor, and it gave you an awareness of authority structures, how the teacher had to be supported by the head teacher, who was the overall boss, and beyond him there were other people like directors of education that you didn't know much about when you were at primary school, but you knew there were other people in the chain of command.
Yeah.
Social hierarchies, you saw those people who were well to do, like the local minister's daughter was always prim and well turned out, and those who were similar to oneself, normal, and those who were rough and tough. I saw Archie's hand go up. I'm going to bang. And then there's the power hierarchies. There's the hard guys, the guys that were tough in the playground. The fun guys, the comics. The swotty guys. The guys who were always had their face in the books, like Horace and the Bruins. And there's the wimpy guys, the guys who just hid in a wee corner and played with their
hamburgers.
yo-yos.
You played with their yo-yos. I'm glad you said that.
And there was, you were taught how to play in a structured way, where it was quite important the order in which you were picked to play football. Were you amongst the first or amongst the last? Give you a place in the hierarchy. Seasonal play. This is something that took place in the playground. You had the yo-yo season. You had marbles. You had your chestnuts. You had the ash tree helicopters you used to throw up and
That's
see how
right.
far they could go. You had exchanges of things like comics and badges and cigarette cards in these days. So there was a kind of a market situation going on. And of course, most of all, you had developed a sense of competitiveness where you would give marks and prizes and recognition for doing or not doing. So these are all the things that lay behind the teaching.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to be
no,
quite
that
so-
was,
that's great.
that was
Aye.
there's quite a few things there I could add
Aye.
to each one.
I think for myself it was very much a difficult learning experience because when I started school I was at 5 years old. That was what they called the wee school at Sinclairtown.
That's right, the wee
Mhm.
school.
The wee school, and then you went to the big school. But during these first 3 years, if you like, that was an experience in itself because it was the only real primary school teaching or learning that I felt that I got. Because beyond that, my mum and dad, they moved house. So they went to a different place, a different school. So my education was very, very broken beyond that. So my learning was very much taken from just short bursts, if you like, because I was at the wee school, which I must have enjoyed because I don't remember anything nasty about it. But then I went to the big school where I felt I was kind of out on a limb because I was one of the new ones and one of the wee ones. So I didn't really get a lot of interaction with the kids there. And then when we moved house, the school that I would eventually go to wasn't yet built. So that was Valley Primary. But that wasn't built when I was there, or not when I went there. I had to go from where I stayed in Cheviot Road in Temple Hall area along to the North School, which was it must have been about 2 miles away, but I had to walk to that. Now again, that was for just a very short period of time because Valley Primary was then built. So I was
Right.
taken from there to Valley Primary where I spent from 8 years up to 11 plus. So I had very short bursts, so my actual learning where the development that you were talking about, Douglas, with the hierarchies and what went on in the playground, who the bullies were and who, I didn't really feel I got a lot of time to actually develop a place for myself at that stage. So it's quite interesting when you think and listen to what you were talking about, Douglas. The different things that you did, like all the different games that you played, and I was never one for sport, but I loved the playground games and the marbles and the conkers and these things and the changing conkers, changing comics, should I say, and the comics that you got at that time were few and far between because you had the Beano and the Dandy, and if you were that wee bit older, you got maybe the Eagle, but they weren't common because you didn't have a lot of money.
No, that's right.
So you had your Tuppence for a Beano, I think it was at that time, Tuppence for a Dandy, and the Eagle was
But
maybe
was there the topper as well?
the topper,
And a visa.
The Beezer.
aye.
Visa,
So-
I remember those.
Aye,
Yeah.
Victor.
oh aye, there's
And that
lots
was
of
a
them.
boys'
That was
one,
later, very much later. But anyway, so primary school for me was quite, looking back, I feel it was quite broken. I didn't really feel that I got a chance to develop in a normal child way at primary school.
I think I was kind of like you, except I never changed schools.
Right.
I was at Pathhead,
Right.
and they had the wee school.
Aye.
It was the first 2 classes. But I have one wee story before I even went to school. My brother was at school. He was about 2.5 years older than me, and he had just been started the school, and we lived round the corner. And I trailed away down the road at lunchtime, 2.5 roughly,
Yeah.
went into the school and said, "Robert's to come home, his dinner's ready." And promptly set out the door and up the road with my brother. But I actually didn't have a good experience at primary school, apart from the first 2 wee classes.
Yeah.
And when you look back and you think, I had a slate and a slate
Yeah.
pencil,
Yeah.
and you also had things like for craft, you got squares of coloured paper that was sticky back when you licked it, and you got a pricker pen, and you had to draw a wee picture,
Yeah.
and then you had to do it like a postage stamp, and then you took it out and then you stuck it on a piece of paper. Really interesting stuff. But I quite enjoyed all these wee things, you know. But then I went up to the next class. Obviously you get a new teacher and he's with you to the end. And he was a little horror when I think back,
Yeah.
because it was only the clever ones, should we say, he sat them in the back row, and he didn't give a toss about anybody else. Now, I would call myself a very slow learner. I wasn't stupid, but I was a slow learner, slow to pick up.
Yeah.
Plus I was off the school quite a lot with tonsillitis, which went through a lot of primary school
Yeah,
till I
yeah.
got my tonsils out at 10 or 11 years old. And I blame this man for not being a teacher.
Sure.
And I never passed my 11 plus either. And I went to Viewford School, and it was like great. I absolutely loved it, whereas I was absolutely a bag of nerves at that primary
Yeah,
school
yeah,
with this
yeah.
man.
Aye.
He just made me so frightened, you know.
Yeah.
And secondary school, because you got all these different subjects, I mean, I just blossomed at that. I was even put in a B group, and they kept me back, because it was every 6 months that people went, these kids went, they kept me back to go up to the A group and start again.
Yeah.
And then, but apart from that, the primary school, and I mean, it was just round the corner from us, and it was great. The playground stuff was good. And the boys were at this side, and the girls were at this side, and you did the balls and the skipping ropes and all that sort of stuff. But he was, when I look back, the only thing I remember about him was Sputniks. It was the Russian Sputnik was going up, and he was interested, obviously, in that. So he actually spoke to the class about that. But everything else was horror to me. That was what I always remember about that.
I said to the last meeting, the discussion we had, I said that when I went from the wee school, or to the wee school, same one that Archie went to, I got a teacher, and that teacher stayed with me all the way through primary school to primary 7.
That's right.
And so she knew the class, saw them unfold, saw them adapt, saw them learn, saw them turning into bad boys and good boys, bad girls, good girls. And she knew every single person and their families. And I think that was a huge benefit to me, because that's very rare.
Oh yeah, I mean,
And
she
was
obviously was a very
marvellous
good teacher.
Female teacher,
Yeah,
What was her
that's
name?
right.
Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Walker, yeah, Mrs. Walker.
Can you remember her?
Yeah.
She was the only teacher in the school that was a university graduate.
There was a couple as well, man and woman. He sort of did deputy head in primary 7, and I just can't mind their names. They stayed in Church Street, didn't they? Where they stayed.
I remember the headmaster at Dysart School was Mr. Skeen,
No, it's for my time.
but he retired and somebody else took over, and I can't remember his name. But Mr. Skeen looked like Boris Karloff.
Right.
And when the teacher
With
said,
or
I'll
without
send
the
you to
makeup.
see, if the teacher said, I'll send you to see Mr. Skeen if you don't behave or be quiet, that was enough.
I think I don't know if I said to you that the 11 plus class, I think I actually had this teacher for more than a year. But at primary school we had at that time the 11 plus, which thankfully was phased out, or maybe not. But it was a method of actually streaming kids so that they could go to the appropriate secondary school.
Or the high school.
Or, yeah, the high school or secondary. But this teacher, if you could call him that, he used to set the class a test every week, either in spelling English or in arithmetic. And if you got below a certain percentage in that test, he used to take you down, or you went down when you had your gym period, you went down and you would either get 4 or 6 of the belt, but he would take you into a cupboard, which was a store cupboard, and you got what they called pammies, which was
Yeah.
2 hands, and he used to belt you either 4 or 6 times if you got below a certain percentage that he expected of everyone in the class.
Obviously a psychopath.
Oh, yeah. But not only that, that wasn't the worst of it. He then had you to go around all the different hand equipment, like climbing ropes and
After
everything.
he's burnt your hands.
After he had absolutely killed your hands, any pain that you had there was going to get. So that's the kind of teacher he was, and that was for the 11 plus class.
Primary kids.
So needless to say, when it came to the actual test, it didn't happen. You know, I didn't pass, and I was expected to pass, but I didn't.
Nerves more than likely as well.
Aye, that's right.
But oh yeah, my husband in Cooper Angus, he had a teacher like that. He seemingly was a horror.
Yeah,
And the things that he used to go, "You boy, come out here." It really, I mean, when I think it's swung too much the other way. The teachers haven't got enough
Yeah.
say in what goes on.
Yeah,
But oh dear, I mean, you were frightened. I was just frightened the whole time. I just never enjoyed being in the class. And I think I blanked a lot of it out of my head.
yeah.
I just
Because of
cannot
time.
remember an awful lot about the time we had Mr. Henderson. I think he had small man syndrome myself, but but when you think about all these kids that could have developed
Yeah.
Yeah.
that didn't, and I actually went and sat my higher English when I was a 44 or 45, just to prove I wasn't a complete idiot.
I must have been in my early 30s when I went back into education, just because of that.
That's the same.
I did that as well. Came here
Yeah.
at age 38
Yeah,
because I thought, no, I'm not working in a shop anymore. No, it's not
Yeah.
for me.
sure.
No.
Yeah.
So I did hotel reception and travel and tourism.
Yeah, yeah. I think what Douglas was saying about the learning that goes on, that whole process of learning, I think to a large extent is lost within the education system because they don't actually take into account all of the aspects of learning. It's too much of a book type academic exercise and not enough put onto like the basic things like behaviour, and you know, in the school behaviour is expected, and if you weren't well behaved you got punished. But if you were behaving differently and maybe weren't learning as you should, there was nothing, it was like you were sent to another place, either that or you were punished. You know, what I used to think about was getting to help the Janny give out the milk. You know, your wee milk. I used to go around with the crates, and you would think, I'm getting this to do because I'm special. But what the teacher was actually doing was saying because you weren't
bother.
aye, you weren't getting anything for the class, just you go and help with Johnny. I put sand on the ice in the playground.
But ironically, I think the shaping process of
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
all the things that I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
beyond learning and teaching, that was done in the days, or happened in the days when the teachers were occasionally psychopathic. They were occasionally very, very poor,
Yeah.
but they weren't called to account.
Sure.
Whereas the teachers in later years
Yeah.
were very much more equipped to identify
Yeah.
people who were maladjusted, people
Yeah.
who had things like, learning disorders,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
And yet, these teachers became less powerful to execute what they
That's
saw needed to be done.
That's right.
So the whole thing seemed to turn in a circle.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah. Aye.
very,
Yeah.
very strange.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
you,
amazing.
you always had a right variety of kids in the class.
Oh yes.
And there was always the wee laddies with the arse hanging out their trousers sort of thing. And socks or wellies that had the ring, the red ring round the edge, because that was the only sort. They didn't have any other shoes, they just had a pair of wellies sort of thing, you know.
There was one girl in my primary class, I mean, to my dying day I'll never forget, she invariably walked around with two.
Oh yeah,
Aye.
tram lines we called them.
See, yeah.
We used to talk about number 11 on the top lip.
Yeah. Oh dear.
And then the knit nurse would come round,
Mm-hmm.
and in Pathhead School when I was young, the knit nurse would take the folk back out that had the knits,
Aye.
and they actually shaved their head.
Wow. Aye.
Right.
I remember there's two wee girls that had their head shaved,
No.
so everybody obviously knew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a shame.
And yet when I worked running the nursery and this kid had knits, I wasn't allowed to do anything about it. I told the parent, unfortunately, the parent himself, he says, I've got 4 bairns and I can't get rid of it. I says, you'll just have to clean everything, clean their heads and then clean all the...
Get the boat comb.
You weren't allowed to touch them, you weren't even allowed to pleat their hair or anything, whereas in these days it didn't matter.
But funnily enough, I think looking back at a lot of the old photographs, it's when you see that most of the boys anyway, they had what they called the bowl cut.
The bowl cut.
The bowl was round about on the top and then the rest was shaved. And I think a lot of that was to do with the fact that they didn't get nits in the back anyway. Now you got them in the top.
I've never been a believer in folks saying it's dirty heads and that, and also that they don't jump to other folk. I think they do. I got them when I was working as a student in one of the nurseries, and it was a child and family centre in Dundee, and it was quite a poor area, I could tell you, and I came home knits. And my 2 daughters had long hair, and they were young teenagers at the time. Don't come near me, Mum.
What area was that part?
Eh?
What area?
It was Happy Hillock.
It was one of my
They
areas.
used to bring children, and they were high themselves.
Oh
And
dear.
why the children didn't get taken from them, but they're better with their mothers.
One thing I remember I was very, very envious of at primary school was some of the lads used to wear what we called at the time tackety bits,
Aye.
and they used to slide on the concrete playground and make
Sparks,
Aye.
that's right.
And I wanted so much to have a pair of tackety bits, but my
That's
parents
right.
would never
We
buy
never-
them for me
yeah.
because they were supposedly common.
Comic.
That thing about the tackets was to save the heels and the soles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, but kids
So your
as
shoes
say-
lasted longer,
Aye, absolutely.
except their feet grew.
But I
Yes.
reckon I must have been, what, maybe 12, 13 before I got the first leather-soled pair of shoes, it was always rubber soles. And I think it was because of that. Just you're not getting targets.
Mhm.
But my butler used to sit and he had a last and everything,
So did
and he
my
used to
dad.
put all the the segs.
That's
It
right.
wasn't
My
my
dad
dad, it
had
was my
a set of
granddad who used to
lasts
do it
as
for us,
well.
Did he?
My grandpa used to do that.
Mm.
But the days that teacher that I'm going back to again, what you were talking about, Douglas, or what you said, Pat, where you had the good behaved, the well ones, the kids that were going to be the academic, if you like, and that 11 plus, he split the class into two, and he had all the academic kids he thought was going to the high school sat in one area, and the rest sat in the other area. And if you were in the other area, then what you got were his exploits in the Second World War, how he had, taken a whole camp of Germans and captured them with one gun. But that was the kind of stories he told, and it kept us amused.
Oh, I
We never
suppose
thought
so.
anything about it. I was away for we were having to do French and everything. He was teaching them all what they were going to get at the high school. So they were getting a wee bit of experience in that before they went. But he didn't know which were going to pass. But I always got the German stories.
I remember in Dyson Primary School, maybe, I don't know if it was like that when you were there, Douglas, they had the thick desk, 4 desks, and the 4 thickest in the class were at this
Oh,
desk.
right, the thick,
Thick desk, aye.
the thick desk,
Aye.
being thick in your
Aye.
brain.
Just the ones that probably nowadays would need extra education, to
That's
catch up.
terrible. That's absolutely
All I
shocking.
could say to that, Archie, is that I had no recollection of that, but my teacher, Mrs. Walker,
Mm.
would never have contemplated such a thing.
no.
No.
Mhm.
Separating people on the basis
I'm,
of
I'm,
the
trying, that was-
ability.
I'm sure that is the one I was thinking about. Mrs. Walker, and our man was the deputy head, and he taught class 7. He maybe came in after you. I'm sure that was her. Stayed in Church Street.
She lived in Lady Nairn Avenue, I think, at the time.
That's near enough, isn't
Well, what you're saying and what I'm saying,
Yeah.
it was segregation as well,
Aye.
because it was always the back row,
Yeah.
and then after
Yeah.
that,
Aye.
more than likely I'd be in the front row. Yet when I went to secondary school, I always sat in the front row because Miss Webster, who was the terror, never looked to the front row. She always got on to the folk in the back row.
Aye. And it gave their arm more exercise.
Yeah,
Because,
when they threw
through the duster.
Oh yeah,
But it's quite amazing how one teacher can spoil so
I've
much
always said
and
this.
can influence the
Yeah.
whole life
Yeah,
of an individual
that's right.
child.
That's right.
Because it can have a knock-on effect. You could be doing really well at school, and then, primary 3, you get a teacher that's like the one that you're talking about, Pat. And then suddenly your marks go down, and then it could change your whole direction.
Well, I
in
often
life.
say that where I worked in the college, when I think it was Carhartt's, the jeans factory place closed down, and what they used to do in the advice centre was used to go across and say, does anybody like to come to college to retrain? And a lot of the girls, they had the most retentive memories that if they'd had a chance, they would have actually developed into
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But and some of them did go on to work in the offices and actually in the college. But it's just, as you say, it spoils people's lives.
Yeah.
These nasty people.
And then at that time it was one teacher for 40, no assistants, nothing. It was
Well, funny you say
Yeah,
that.
you could get lost in
I
the
have this
numbers like
picture
that.
here of Pathhead School, 1950-51. That must have been just after I started the school. And you see the size of the class, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's the same class.
Right.
But I think what they did was they split it.
Oh, right.
So, because some of these girls in this class that weren't in, I ended up beside them in Viewford School. but because you came from the same area, you knew them. But I can't remember because, as I say, I figured out a lot of the school stuff.
Yeah.
But that was a big class, that. I think it was over 40 and that. And then it dwindled to this. But it definitely was split into 2 classes. So,
Well, as a primary school, when I was there, it was split into, every class was split into 2. And one half moved the next year and came up. So you're with the same teacher for
yeah.
2 terms.
Who was the head teacher at Viewforth? Was it Rollo?
Rollo,
Yes, he was the headmaster at
He stayed just over
And-
the bridge and near the hotel.
and was it in Spencer's Place or Lady Nairn Avenue?
No, it's not
Aye.
that.
My friend stayed in Lady Nairn Avenue. We were always there, but yeah, it's schools different. I mean, I wish I could remember more about primary school.
Yeah.
I remember quite a few of the girls that were in my class, and there was 2 or 3 wee boys that, unfortunately, they were a bit stinky. I mean, considering we only got a bath once a week, some of them I don't think got a bath once a week, put it that
Only
way.
if you needed it.
That was just a few.
Their clothes would walk to school on their own almost, you know. And one of them I always remember, I'll not mention his name because it'll be
No.
awkward.
Absolutely.
But this poor wee lad, he grew up to be, I don't know what, but he ended up seemingly going away overseas someplace and came back. And I don't know if you ever heard this, but he lived in the cave, one of the caves underneath the castle
Right.
for a while. He was living in there because he didn't have any money, he didn't have any
Goodness.
house to go to, and he was living in that cave underneath. What a life that poor lad had.
Well, this morning I was talking to a guy that I started primary school with first day.
All right, right.
Con.
Oh, icon.
Aye, and when I started the same day,
Right.
a long time ago.
I don't even see anybody from secondary school that I
Do you
know.
No. I was, when I moved to Cheviot Road, when we moved house to Cheviot Road, one of the first lads that I made contact with was Ronnie, and he was in my class at primary school. And we were out with him and his wife, what, about a month ago? Went out. Now that is, we're talking 70 odd years ago.
Oh, I'd
And-
class him as my uncle.
Aye. But we've kept up,
Yeah.
although we haven't always seen each other,
Uh-huh.
it's as if we had seen each other every day because we're still best mates. You know.
That's like when I see my brother,
All right.
or hear from him, I should say. It's like it was like you heard from us yesterday, but it's maybe 9 months ago he phoned.
Aye.
That's like my brother.
Aye.
He lives 2 miles away from me.
Well, my brother lives just along the coast a bit.
Yeah.
So
I saw my
Susan,
brother yesterday.
Susan, for you, what particular stories have you got for school? That,
Well, my attitude, my thinking is like yours. I went to school when I was 4.5 in Kilsyth.
uh-huh.
So it was one of these, it was called in the academy,
Right.
Kilsyth. One of these big square, really old buildings, you know, one like that. And I can remember the desk. It would come from there to there and stop,
Uh-huh.
and then the bit you actually used was underneath.
Yeah.
But however, but I couldn't have been long there, so I left there, and as a baby really, and came to Kirkcaldy, and then went to the Valley School.
Right.
So I wasn't long there, but I remember the monkey puzzle at the Valley, if anybody else
Aye,
think
aye,
I fell for it. I don't even remember anybody coming to help me.
No.
No, you just had to lie there and scream. So then I was only there. So what I'm saying is I've only had 2 years or so, you know, and I've not had the learning
Sure.
there. But remember Miss Hazel from the
Aye.
she was a lovely teacher, she
Aye.
was good. But I left then 54, Dunedin was built.
Right. So you moved up.
So again, I've always been just 2.5
Oh, right,
and
right.
not really learn got anything, you know.
Mm.
So at an end though, what happened was when it was time for to go to one of the schools, move on, they decided who wanted to go to Meagle, to the camp school for a month. Well, my friend, she wanted to go, so we told my mum, and it was only £3 to go for a month. So mum said, all right, okay, you can go. So they put them in the hat, pulled the names out. She didn't get to go, and that was the one that really wasn't that fussed. But anyway, I went there to the camp school. So I brought the picture of this camp school in 1959. That was,
Right.
in case anybody,
Aye.
you know anybody there.
What was this? What was this school?
It's a photo. That's at Meagle. The camp. It was an old RAF camp.
Oh, right.
Oh, it was their fortnight or week,
Like a
It
summer
was two
trip.
a month.
a month
Summer-
trip thing.
Summer
Aye,
holidays.
yeah.
No, well, yeah, it was,
Yeah.
would be after the 11 plus, and then
That was a well-known place for lots of schools to go to.
we used to walk into England. The first bit, the story about that window is, you know that there's an American old thing, mother, father, here I am at Camp Granada.
Oh yeah.
I want to come home, come home. That was me. You couldn't with the phone, you had to write out the letters. And I was always writing it more, go like this. So my mum and dad and my three
wouldn't I
sisters,
like
my gran all came up. But
We-
you only they got once
Uh,
Aye.
after the 2 weeks.
stay.
And of course,
A month's quite a long
really
time
enjoying
though,
myself.
yeah.
It is. I started really enjoying myself then, and I didn't know what to do.
No.
The kookaburra sits in the old oak tree and all these things.
Dear.
So that
I think the
was-
biggest thing I ever got when I was at primary school was a busload of us went to Falkland Palace.
Oh,
You
right.
what?
Right.
Falkland Palace, aye. Busload of primary school.
I went to the orchestra camp for a week,
For primary.
and well, I was primary age,
Mm.
but I hated it. Absolutely
We
hated
never
it.
got anything at primary
Mm.
at all.
No.
I got some stuff. We didn't go to camp at secondary school. We got to go to London for a week.
Right.
We got the school guides, but no, we never got
No.
got to anything at all that I could remember.
No.
So just when you look at what
Yeah.
everybody, the girls are all wearing.
I know we.
I'll pass
And
these
that
over
was
if
the
you
one-
want to have a quick look at that.
Well, I'm in some of the
Maybe you're in
technologies.
there and I don't know. That's
There's
1959.
mostly them are for
No.
Smeaton.
I was
Mhm.
there 52.
It's funny
I
when you
started.
look at these
52.
pictures.
Mm.
My husband's for Cooper Angus.
Mm.
When you look at his pictures, there's an awful lot of them look the same, and they look like
Sorry.
they've got the same jumpers.
Right, anyway, yes. Any other wee stories, any other wee quips you want to bring out and chat about?
Well, when I went my time at Dunelm Primary, and it was something you said in a previous episode here. When the lunchtime came, I mean, I stayed in Morven Grove,
Uh-huh.
so I either had to walk away around that way or go that way. So I cut through the flats. I would come in the flats in Dunelm Dry, come through and drop through the fence and get to my mum's house in Morven Grove there. What was I going to tell? What? Yeah. But you said, the thing that it struck, you always got a dinner. There wasn't it just a wee sandwich or something. I mean, you
Yeah.
actually sat down
Sat
to
down to-
Lunchtime.
Yeah.
Aye, we had dinner at lunchtime.
Aye.
My dad even walked up from his work up Overton Road for his lunch, his dinner, and then we just had a tea at tea time. But I wish I could do that now because I
Yeah,
think
I
I would
ended up
feel
going
better.
for school dinners because all my pals were going, and I stayed so close.
Yeah.
I could walk home for my dinner.
I was the
every day.
same. I
And
wanted
then-
to go to school dinners as well. My
Because
mum
all the
wouldn't
pals
let
were
me.
there. You know,
Then she was ill once, so I got to go for a school dinner.
5 shillings a week. That's it. For
I
school
know it
dinner.
would be a lot less than that in my time.
2 half-pounds.
And I liked sago and tapioca.
Aye,
Mhm.
aye.
I still like all them.
I think another little thing that when we moved up to Temple Hall, as I said, to Cheviot Road, I started the North School. Now, looking at today and how you look at Dysart School and Dysart Primary School and how all the kids, they're getting picked up in their cars and the cars are always parked outside and you can't get past, and you can't, you know, all this kind of stuff. Whereas we had to walk everywhere. But I remember my first day at school, my mother took me to the North School because it was my first day. But from there I was expected to go on my own. So the first day I was walking on my own, I didn't find the North School, and I kept going, and I reached Dunnikier School, and I had to get taken from Dunnikier School up to the North School by one of the staff, because
I was going to say that's how you ended up in West Weems.
Absolutely, Douglas. But it's that whole situation of how things have changed. You know, you never ever thought anything about going to school or no going to school. If it was snowing, you went in the snow. And
nowadays it's shut down before you even...
You were so pleased it was snowing, so you had a great fun going to school and coming back.
Yeah, making slides.
But the other thing that I remember vividly, and that was how when you got a new book, you had to take it home and you had to get it covered.
Aye.
Anything wallpaper,
Anything
Wallpaper.
paper bags that you had got at the co-op. You know, if it was brown paper, then great. And then you had to put your name on the cover because you weren't allowed to write on the book itself.
That's right.
And when you were needing a new jotter, that was brilliant, because you got to the end of the jotter and you thought, oh, get a new one now, and you got a new jotter, and it was the first page. You know, it was just so exciting.
And I always say, I don't know why this don't still do it, but on the back of the jotter there was tables and there was 30 days of September, April, June, November. There was all sorts of things on the back which were very good reference things, really. And I think, why do they not do that today?
I know.
But they expect everybody to get on the iPads or their phones or this or that. Oh, God.
Anyhow.
Because that's what they used to always say, you're not going to have a calculator in front of you all the time.
That's right.
No, you do.
Now you do. A phone.
You do.
Anyway, thank you all for that. I think we've just about done primary school to death. We haven't yet got a topic for next time, but it will be 4 weeks from today.
I did suggest one to you last time.
You did. That was the names of streets.
Ah,
Yes.
Street names and their
Yes.
history.
Their history. We're going to do that one.
So
I
we're
was
doing
wanting
that
to. Aye.
next time.
Aye. I was wanting to talk to you about it first.
Well, I see, right, okay.
But that's okay. You've said it now, so that's fine.